Hey guys, so Toni Storm recently got back into the news. Toni Storm, of course, being formerly part of WWE, was recently back in the news because she had created an OnlyFans account. Now, in case you guys don't know what OnlyFans is, it is essentially the adult-only version, the adult equivalent, I should say, of a YouTube, a Facebook, a Twitter, to an extent, a Daily Motion, and even a Venmo. Or Vimo, I should say, not Venmo, but Vimo. It's basically that. It is basically the adult equivalent of all these popular social sites: YouTube, Daily Motion, Facebook, Twitter to an extent, Vimo, etc. And the other catch about it is you can make money, with OnlyFans by, showing off a little skin, as the old saying would go. And Toni Storm, upon her first day with OnlyFans in this past week, basically collected over $100K financially, basically $100,000, if not more so as we speak. And this is a complete, R-rated, NC-17, XXX rated, channel and to an extent site that she opened an account at. Now, OnlyFans has gotten in trouble in the past, for the content that it's provided, but obviously it got out of that trouble because I think they proved that you don't always have to just be, about the showing the skin and being very adult and suggestive and all that, but that you could do more with OnlyFans. You could do other things with OnlyFans, as far as content is concerned. But the most popular directive is showing off some skin. Either you're a man, or in this case, most times a woman. No offense when I say that. No offense, with all due respect, no offense when I say that. But, yeah, Toni Storm recently opened that, and as we speak, has probably garnered over more financially than the 100K she collected in one day. She's probably in the freaking millions by now. And that goes along with what she made or has made in the wrestling business, especially when she was part of WWE. So she's okay. She's financially set in a way, and basically at least getting to a point to where maybe she doesn't have to rely on wrestling that much anymore. But with that said, one thing that Alyx brought up in the video was he looked at what Toni Storm was doing as a prime example of the fact that, you can make a living off something that may not be, what many people expect you to do. Because he brought up the fact that a lot of folks, get on each other, mostly family sometimes, get on each other to get out and get a real job. In that, using something like, YouTube and Daily Motion and Patreon and all that's not going to cut it. And as much as I may not like to kind of disagree with what Alyx is saying, there is some truth to why people tell folks like me and him and others that to an extent, or at least to make a point. The reasoning being is because a lot of these folks are probably raised from a different period. I mean, he said something about The Undertaker in the same video when he talked about The Undertaker. He said The Undertaker, Mark Calloway, is old school. And when you say that somebody's old school, you're basically saying that they have a belief in a system that they feel should still be instituted today. And there is truth to that. There is truth to that, those old school individuals having that belief that certain things, criterias, rules that they had to follow, and stuff like that, punishments, all these things, should be implemented today because, they feel it'll make things better or keep people in line. And, when people tell folks, like I said, like me or Alyx or Jeff Siegel, the Schleg Daddy at OTRS Central, or even Jason Solomon, the Solomon Store, or, you know, someone like, let's say, Bennett the Sage, or Rob, you know, Rob the Wonderful, or, you know, so on and so forth, that, hey, you should go out and, you know, get a real job and not sit around and, you know, play video games or watch shows and all that just to go on a camera and review them, because it's not going to make you much financial, not make you much of a financial living, is what I'm trying to say. I do apologize. I'm tired. I got off work a little while ago, so that's why I'm a little out of it right now, a little stuttery. But anyway, like I said, that is what they feel. That's what they believe. That is why sometimes when you hear somebody come out, like let's say a Josh Scorcher, known as Firebrand to the MLP fans, you know, when he came out and admitted to his folks that he was going to, you know, make YouTube his career, the way he described it is, yes, they were supportive, but the way he described the way he described it, you could tell that in a sense, even though they were supportive of it, they were still unsure of it. And you can't blame them for that. You can't blame parents for, you know, for feeling that way, because again, due to the fact that you have a lot of these people coming out and telling us this, it's mainly because of the fact that they look at something like a YouTube. They look at something like an OnlyFans. They look at something like a Patreon. They look at something like a VENMO and a Twitch, and all these places where you can make money, you know, on the side without lifting a finger, or at least leaving your house or whatever, and just using your camera like what I'm using here with the GoPro. They have this belief, and legitimately they have, you know, respectable experience for having this belief, that that's not always going to be around. That's going to go, that eventually that itself is going to leave. It's going to go away, and then what? What are you going to do then for money? What are you going to do then, you know, to keep yourself financially secure? And that is why, you know, as Alyx puts it, you know, you have, you know, and as much as he hates people constantly telling folks like him and others to go out and, you know, get other financial, you know, financial security and all that through employment and all that, you know, the reason they say this, as much as it may annoy a lot of folks, is because they're basically saying, look, they're basically telling us straight out, you're saying that this is going to be your financial security, but how do you know it's going to be your financial security in the long run? What makes you believe YouTube's monetization with Google, or VENMO's monetization, or Patreon, or DeviantArt, or wherever, you know, Twitch, how do you know it's going to be your financial security in the future? What if, you know, something happens, they have to take that away? Or they're ordered by the government that, hey, you can't, basically pay anybody anymore financially because this is not a real job. You know, what then? What then? And that is why, you know, much to, you know, Alyx's annoyance and anybody else's annoyance that's sick and tired of hearing it, you know, this is why they do it. It's a belief that they have. Like, you know, they will be supportive. There is no doubt that if you stand up to them and you say, this is going to be my career path, they will show you their love and support their love for you by saying, we support your decision. But they might even add in the fact that, yes, this is your decision. We shouldn't, you know, tell you otherwise, and we're going to support you all the way. But what they may also do is throw in a little caveat saying, you know, however, do us a favor. They'll throw in a little caveat, I should say, by asking you to do them a favor, by at least finding something on the side. Oh no, that's a crank call. But like I said, they're gonna, you know, probably ask you to do them a favor by, you know, doing something on the side, so that at least, or having something financially on the side, so that at least, you know, just in case this YouTube thing or this Twitch thing or whatever blows up, you'll at least have something to fall back on and fall back on a full-time basis. Like, you could start out small, part-time, a few hours here and there, but if, and if this, YouTube, Twitch thing blows up, OnlyFans thing blows up, hey, at least you have this other thing you can fall back on. And that is why I feel that, yeah, they will be supportive of you in your decisions. If you want to make, if you want to make your YouTube channel your career, your living, your Twitch channel, your career, your living, whatever, your OnlyFans, Camo, or what is it? Camo is what it's called, or Cameo, whatever it is. Your career, they'll be supportive of that. They'll be very supportive of it. There's no doubt. But in the long run, though, they will probably ask you to have something on the side to fall back on just in case. That, just in case things blow up. But I get where Alyx is coming from. I really do. I mean, when I was off work for about 1.5 years before I got back to work at the beginning of this year, I felt elated. Even when I had that brief period, very brief period of 2 days, and that's it. Or not even that, 1.5 days or whatever you want to call it. 1 full day and 1 2-hour day with Dollar Tree. With that being the exception, I felt free. I felt relaxed. I started seeing money coming in. Not in the way I would hope with my YouTube, but when it came in, it came in. And it was helpful, even along with the additional money on the unemployment and the stimulus at times. It was helpful. And I was happy about that. I really was. Sorry about that. The battery died on me. But anyway, like I said, they're going to be supportive of you, no matter what your decision. But all they're going to ask in return, like I was trying to say before the battery died, is you have something financially on the side. Like you have a job part-time on the side that you could do maybe, let's say, on a Saturday or a Friday, or maybe even a Thursday, for a couple of hours that pays well. Even if it's like $20 an hour or $25 an hour, as long as it pays well, at least have that on the side just in case something happens with your YouTube and your OnlyFans and your Daily Ocean and all of that, your Twitch, just in case, like I said earlier, it goes down. Like, they decide, hey, Google, Amazon, you guys can't pay anybody anymore through this Twitch and YouTube stuff because they're not employees of yours. If they were employees, we get it. But since they're just people making video content, you can't do it anymore. So guess what? You gotta shut that down. That's what they probably worry about. That kind of stuff happening, which is why even though they'd be supportive of it, they would still get on people their family members, to basically continue to look for something outside of work. Why do you think, when Angry Joe does a video, if you will, at times, and you don't see like other Joe there or Alyx there, and he says, oh, they're off at the other job. They're at their other job because, you would assume that the family or the girlfriends or the wives are telling them, hey, get this other job, because you don't know if this Angry Joe thing's going to last. You don't know if the Angry Joe show is going to be, around in a couple of years. You don't know that. Or you don't know if monetization through YouTube is going to be, over. And I just hit my door there, or at least the wall next to my door. But anyway, that's why you constantly get people, either old school people like parents and grandparents and uncles and aunts and cousins, siblings maybe, or former teachers or whatever, coming out and telling you this stuff. Heck, you even, like I just mentioned as an example, you have even loved ones like your girlfriends, your wives, your husbands, if you will, if the shoe's on the other foot. And I say that with all due respect, no offense. Coming out and saying you need to get something, outside of the house, something, more stable possibly, just in case this YouTube thing or this Twitch thing or OnlyFans thing doesn't last. And this is why I understand where Alyx is coming from. As I mentioned earlier, it will get annoying. It will get on your nerves when you constantly hear people telling you that. I mean, I'm sure he's had his family tell him for years that he has to get a job outside of YouTube, and he has. He comes, every time he does a video or a live stream, he mentions that he has, a background and credentials to be, to be called upon as a substitute teacher or be called upon to be a music teacher or whatever. He's got those credentials. So just in case they need someone to sub at a school, he could do it. He can do it, period. And he also has this podcast now with his friend. So he has other means of financialness, I should say. Excuse me there. But again, even with all that, his family will constantly, or has constantly been, not has, but, even with all that, there's no doubt what I'm trying to say, and I'm a little tired because like I mentioned earlier, I did work today. Well, I didn't mention it earlier, but yeah, I did work today. That's why I'm a little tired. But again, this is why his family was probably on him a lot, before all this happened. Because, they know, look, you can make money off YouTube and that's great, but you need to have something on the side just in case. And he probably heard that for a while and said, okay, fine, I'll get something. I'll get something on the side just so you get off my case. And that's what he did. That's what a lot of people do. A lot of people will get something on the side, sometimes just to, get their family or the people that are insisting they do it off their back, but at the same time, allowing them to keep the other financial means they want to have around. Like I said about Josh Scorcher, even though he, made it clear to his family he wanted to pursue YouTube as a career, he wanted to pursue it as a career, and they were supportive of it. You could tell that when he described how he mentioned it to them, that even though they were supportive of him doing it, like I mentioned earlier, you could tell by the way he was describing it, that basically, they even weren't sure whether or not it'd be a good idea for him to do. Because, it's a risk. It is a risk you're taking because if it falls apart, then what? Then what do? You can't, he's like, then what do you do? What do you fall back on? So, yeah, I know I sound like I'm stumbling over my words. Like I said, I did work today. I do apologize. But, like I said, this is why you have people, well, not happy, but this is why I understand where Alyx is coming from. But I also understand why the people that he gets annoyed with, that constantly get on folks like himself, me, OTRS Central, everybody else, to get things outside of, doing YouTube. I can get where he's coming from being annoyed by them, but I also understand where they're coming from. Because basically, they just want what's best. They just want what's best for that person. Whether it's the son, the boyfriend, the girlfriend, the daughter, the grandchild. They just want what's best. Even if they understand and will show support and love to them wanting to pursue a career with YouTube or Twitch or whatever, they'll still want them to have something, on the side, just in case things go astray. So Alyx, I get where you're coming from, man. I really do. I get where you're coming from. I get where a lot of people that are getting sick and tired of being constantly told, hey, you need to get outside of the house and get a job. You need to get a job at this place. You need to get a job at that place. You need to apply here. You need to apply there. Because this YouTube, Twitch thing, it's not going to always be, it's not always going to be the financial support you may think it's going to be. Or it may not be around, to help you out financially in the future. Or, hey, we're happy you have this, and we're glad it's giving you some financial stability, but still, do us a favor and go get something outside the job just in case. So again, I understand it from both sides of the spectrum. I really do. I really do understand it from both sides of the spectrum. But what do you guys think? I know, like I said, it sounded like I was all over the place. First of all, like I said, I did work today. I am tired. And also my battery died, so this is going to be the second part compiled together in one part, or one video anyway. But what do you guys think? You get what Alyx is coming from when he talked about that in his stream, you know, and everything. When he talked about Toni Storm doing her OnlyFans. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about, you know, folks getting on us about not only on me and him and others, but just getting on people constantly that, you know, when they look at something like YouTube and Twitch and all that and consider, hey, I can make this a career. And when you start doing that, that they still want you to go out and get something on the side just in case. How do you feel about that overall? Let me know down below in the comments, as well as in the live chat during the premiere, where super chats and super stickers are open and would be appreciated, guys. Whatever you can do. Also, check me out at my Teespring store. My Teespring store. Check me out there for merchandise you can't get anywhere else. Also, check me out at my DeviantArt page at BVW1979 and at BW Roses Discussions at all your favorite audio podcast locations except for Pandora. Also, check me out at VENMO at BW Roses for content you can't get here on YouTube due to copyright. Also, check me out at VENMO at Brian-Walmer-2. Also, check me out at patreon.com/BW Roses to support me there at the $1, $3 tier. And also check me out at Cash App, at BW Roses 98. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys, on this whole situation. How do you feel about it? Do you agree with Alyx in any shape or form? Let me know in the comments, and like I said in the live chat. And until then, like I said, I do apologize for stumbling over my words. I am tired, I did work, and of course my battery died, so that kind of threw me off as well. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys, and I am out.